I am the conservative activist here to give you an update on this intense situation regarding the 2020 US election on November 5th, 2020. I'm disappointed because it seems that I'm going to lose my perfect record for predicting politics. 2 years ago, I guaranteed that Trump would win this election. I am now revealing to you that I'd say in every way that Trump could win the election. I think there's about a 7% chance Trump will be the president on January 21st, 2021. He is almost certainly, I'd say, winning it in the front door through the general election without litigation. There is maybe a 2% chance that he wins through the front door. This is why. Excluding Hawaii, Trump needs to rout the entire table. He needs to win everything remaining. Let's start with the easy ones. I strongly believe he will win North Carolina. There is a 58% chance he will win Pennsylvania. Of course, he's going to win Alaska. Now, I don't know about Georgia. It's 50-50 right now. He's up by 0.2%, and that usually favors the left. So it's just a toss-up in Georgia. He's not going to win Arizona. I'm tired of that argument. Most critically is this. Right now, 76% of Nevada ballots are in, and Trump's behind there 0.9%, so a little less than a percent. But terrible situation is those ballots are coming in from those rather urban areas that favor Biden. Thus, odds are he will lose more ground until he loses the state. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I am. So, and he loses that, he loses the front door of the general election. Now, he does have hope, and the hope is this, that his lawyers successfully make a case that the ballots nationwide are deemed by the Constitution and federal law surrounding that. The ballots would have been required to be dropped in the election bucket by midnight on November 4th. If he wins that, and then somehow, hopefully, all the states in question have separated their ballots so they can differentiate which one's which that's very highly suspect that that's true. And all these ballots will prove that Trump was leading during those moments in those boxes. He can win the election. That's my, what did I say before, 6% chance he has? And if in that rare 6% chance he is reelected, that will mean massive rioting, burning buildings, people will die, cops will be assaulted, etc. Our country is literally on the verge of civil war. I don't like to speak in hyperbole, so let me speak about civil war for a moment. The thing is, in this modern time, people are so metaphorically opiated out of their minds. They don't really have passion anymore. They don't really care. Most people will just sit in their lazy boy armchairs, Democrat or Republican, and say, what a bitch, everything's corrupt, and they'll just eat their potato chips and go to bed instead of fighting for things. So that's the best argument against civil war, along with the fact that our military is so modern that worst comes to worst, Apache helicopters will go and put warning strafing fire down and everyone will stop fighting momentarily and then keep that up indefinitely and kind of hold things into place. But at the same time, you're going to have extremely angry leftists should this scenario implement. And quite frankly, I don't blame them if I were a leftist, because appearingly, to take an election that seems to have won by your candidate and then through legal seeming subterfuge reversing that, that would piss them off. It would piss me off tremendously. If the situation was reversed, I'd be storming the White House with a gun probably. So then we will have local militias defending the White House, and then we will have civil war of sorts. And how far it escalates, we will see. But that is a real scenario now, as it should be for passionate people. Thus, if you're an American, it is not fantastic, the idea that you should go get your rifles loaded and prepare for such things. But moving back to the most probable scenario is Trump will lose this election. Even if he were to have all sorts of great luck with recounts and such, okay, we have to have the recounts. He can lose those recounts legitimately. Furthermore, even if he ends up squeaking out Georgia in the next 24 hours, Biden is definitely going to request a recount in Georgia. He should. And who knows how that'll flip-flop. There's so much going against Trump right now in a at least quasi-legitimate way that he's done, man. I am now accepting the reality that Trump has lost. Though finally, this is interesting. There is one more interesting scenario out there. Remember 4 years ago when insane asshole Martin Sheen and the other Hollywood elites petitioned for the electorates to be faithless? Because if you don't know already, it is a bit weird, but it's actually brilliant. Our founding forefathers put in so many safeguards from tyranny. They put in the balance of powers, the three branches of government. They put not only the state electoral college system, but they put in another safeguard of the electorates, which means none of us directly elected President Trump. No, we elected instructions for our electorates that we voted for already, people, to follow through with our petition, with our ballot's opinion, who we want to vote for. Thus, it is entirely within the law, as crazy as it is, for our electorates in, I don't know if it's late November or December, to vote for Donald Trump in Michigan if it stays blue, in Wisconsin if it stays blue, in Nevada if it stays blue. Those people can vote for Trump legally. Now, they will very likely get assassinated. That's not my point. That can happen, and then Trump can legally, under the Constitution, rightfully claim a second term. That could happen because there is clearly significant reason to believe that this election is thoroughly corrupt because of all this different evidence with very suspicious voting participation tallies in Wisconsin and Michigan. I could be wrong which state here, but I think in Michigan we have 89% of the electorate voting when it's typically about 63%. That's utterly suspect. We have a screenshot, unless it was doctored. You have to always remember things could be doctored nowadays. But it seems that 122,000 ballots came in I think, Michigan exclusively for Joe Biden. 122,000 to 0. When all in all, it was roughly 50%. So basically, 1 out of 2 votes is going to the other guy. And then all of a sudden, 122,000 goes all to Biden. That's ridiculous. But maybe it's doctored, maybe, possibly, I don't know. When they increase their moment-to-moment stats, there's a pile of Bidens and then there's a pile of Trumps. And they simply took that pile and put it over and put it in the computer. I don't know how they do it. So possibly you can convince the electorates to vote differently. But I don't even know if I agree with that. I think morally I wouldn't agree with it, but I'm realizing that the left has no regard for law or morality at all. So we might as well just descend to an utter street fight and do whatever the hell we can to remain in power, because that's how they behave. Also, this is an interesting couple of months because, remember, even if Trump gets kicked out of office, he still has over 2 months in office. So, okay, in a certain way he's a lame duck, but in another way, he has the power of the presidency. He can, in perhaps some clever ways, for example, allocate money for finishing the border wall and prepay all the contractors. And then it's going to go up no matter what. And he can just get it done by January 20th, for example. And maybe he can do a variety of other things. Now that they know that he's leaving, he can just kind of scorch the earth. I'd like him to do that. So that's interesting too. But in the end, the simple fact that this election was at least so competitive with the best president ever, in my opinion. Look at our America. We have the Michael Jordan of presidents who has fulfilled virtually all his campaign promises, has had backbone and spirit and charisma, true leadership, has handled international politics wonderfully, has done so much that other presidents don't have the talent to do, such as successfully renegotiating our trade deficits with China, our international trade all over with get rid of NAFTA, the TPP, getting us out of the climate accords, making Europe pay their fair share of NATO issues financially, building the wall, ending the corruption swamp, helping the VA, eliminating the opioid epidemic, standing up to the fake news media, standing up for the statues being removed, standing up against this cultural communism, which is by far the biggest problem in America, by far. And half of our nation hates this guy, doesn't think this guy is the best president. Even if they know that Biden is awful and we just need him to get rid of Trump, even if that's all true, for them to hate Trump this much, what does that say about this country? We have the Michael Jordan, and they're firing Michael Jordan with passion. It says this country is gone, man. It's gone. It's gone. I hate to say that because I am such a patriot. I'm the most patriotic person you'll meet. And Trump is one of my like 3 heroes in the world. For our country to not be voting for him at like 80 percentile is telling of the decrepit state, and now the fatally decrepit state of America. So I made a video before about how America is culturally irrecoverable. So now this kind of segues into the same theme. America is just done, man. Our country is gone. The best scenario we have is a miraculous 4 more years with Trump in office. And that's all I have for you.